Hey guys, it's Victor with LakelandCarKeys.com, and I am still in the two Honda CRV. So this is the one that I program these remote keys to. We added the transponder box, which is here, but there are some issues. The remote's programmed in fine, but a lot of the functions aren't actually working, and I think it might have to do with error being in the system. So I did notice that my driver's door, the lock, so with the door shut, this lock should lock and unlock. Every once in a while I do see it move a little bit, so I know it is connected, and if I lock it, we can hear all the other locks react. So it's definitely connected, but there is some type of error in there, and I believe that's causing the remote functions not to work. So if I go on the key and I press lock or unlock, it doesn't do anything. If I hold the panic button, that's not doing anything. Alright, so this remote is responding to the box. Now if I set off the thing and hit the unlock button, it will shut it off. So I know these buttons are actually working. They're actually sending a signal to the car, and I can see the FCC ID on the unit, so I know both of these remotes are the right frequency. Now, I don't know, this one was just working a second ago. I don't know why it stopped working. Well, not that it was working, but when I hold the panic, it would set the panic off. But, so my question is, right now, would something like that cause the rest of the buttons to stop working? And if so, how do I read if there's any error codes in the system? I guess I can grab my AutoFix EvoScan Ultra and do a system scan and see if it's showing anything in the keyless system, but I've actually never ran across this before, and this is something interesting. So it's a new learning experience for me. I'm going to try to figure it out and send it to you guys, but I just want to show you the programming procedure. When I program these remotes in, it does give me the lock cycle saying that it did program the key. I know sometimes it does like a certain number of cycles to indicate, an error in the system, and I didn't pay attention to that. So I'm going to do this sequence again so that we can see exactly what it does and try to figure out what's going on. All right, so I'm actually going to use my remote key, just put it in, turn it on, hit one button, turn it off, turn it on, hit one button, turn it off, turn it on, hit one button, turn it off. I'm going to turn it on, leave it on, hit one button, the lock system cycled to indicate we're in programming mode. I'm going to hit the button again. It cycled one time to indicate that remote programmed. I'm going to take the other remote, and this remote totally stopped responding altogether. So I'm not even going to worry about this one. The battery seems good, but this one was working last night. Actually, this one worked a couple of minutes ago. I don't know what happened to it. Cheap remotes, I guess. But yeah, so I'm just go ahead and turn it off, so it'll close out programming mode. But again, we have no lock, no unlock, nothing, but panic will shut off, and if I hit the unlock button, it'll shut off the panic. So there's again, I gotta figure out what the codes are, and if there's any errors in that system. It does seem to be working. One thing I did notice is when I turn the key on, turn it off, you will hear the locks do something, like they're trying to do something, but it actually doesn't lock or unlock. So right now, to unlock, turn the key on, There they go. They just cycled by themselves. All right, so maybe that's just the auto lock feature. But that actually, so when I shut the key off, they unlocked, but this one didn't unlock. So let me manually unlock it. Turn the key back on. All right, yeah, so the rest of them auto lock. This driver's door is not auto locking or auto unlocking. All right, so that door is unlocked. Turn the key on. Yeah, so there's definitely an error in the system, but I don't know what it is. So I'm going to try to scan it and see if I can find out any information and see if I could come up with a fix for it so that all these functions work. All right, so this might be a little difficult for me holding the phone and trying to look at the screen, but let's go ahead and let's go into diagnostics. I'm gonna hit auto VIN. I don't think these older ones actually auto VIN, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. I do have my J-Box plugged in, and we have our Bluetooth connection. Down the bottom, we can see our VCI is connected by Bluetooth. And most cars by now would auto VIN already, so this probably is going to go ahead and fail to auto detect the VIN number. Come on, we're almost there. You know, every once in a while you do see one that gets to the end and then it actually grabs. But like most newer cars, if it doesn't go in the first 1, 2, 3, then usually it's not going to connect. All right, so there you go. We failed to auto VIN. You could go ahead and manually enter the VIN number and it might decode it. I'm just going to go ahead and exit out of that, and we can manually select Honda, select standalone diagnostics. Let me cancel that. Oops, sorry, I didn't want to cancel that. Hit standalone diagnostics, okay. All right. Now, from here, let's see if auto selection will read. Once we get into Honda, will it go ahead and break it down? I know on some of my key programmers, when you try to auto detect from the main screen, it doesn't auto detect. But once you go into the menu, it does. And there you go. Oh, actually, no. That's trying to pull me something from a drop-down menu. I don't believe that's my VIN number. Let me double check this. All right, so that is not this vehicle. Let me just go ahead and escape. And we go into system selection. All right. This function supports no engine data entry. Do you wish to continue? All right, so we're going to select our region, which is United States. All right, go ahead and hit OK. And then we could scroll up to 2002. All right. And then it automatically detected it as a CRV, which it's reading something, but just not auto detecting the VIN number. All right, so let's go into auto scan. And let's see if we do a full system scan. It should tell me anything that should be wrong with this vehicle that, you know, the scanner can detect. All right, so we got a little bit of topology here. So let's go ahead and do a fault scan. All right, so right now it's checking the PCM. We know we got no check engine lights on, so hopefully that doesn't trigger anything. All right, so it's now scanning the automatic transmission. And our PCM did come up as green. Our automatic transmission is now green. Our ABS system. Yeah, this thing's moving kind of slow. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause it, let it do the full system scan, and then we'll come back and see all the information that it gives us. Alright, so it took about 10 minutes to go through that whole scan. But the only 3 components that are on this particular year that's able to read is the PCM, your automatic transmission, your immobilizer, and there are no current codes. We could up top hit list and it would break it down. Or let me see, I can go and look at the report, and it gives us a option to input the miles. I could go ahead and skip that, and basically it would just generate a little report. And there's really nothing to report there, but if you're connected to the internet, you could go ahead and report to cloud, and you can add whatever information you want in there. So I just put CRV, hit save. It wants me to enter odometer. All right, so odometer is required. So right now we're at 198,461. All right, go ahead and save that. And then we can select view report, and it'll give us, a whole rundown report. You'll see our shop name up top. And now, if this was, a newer vehicle that we were working on and we wanted to show the customer all the errors and everything that were in the system, we can actually send them this report. So up top there's a share button. I could go ahead and I can send it by email, or I could send it by text message, or I could scan this QR code, and I think I could send it to the customer and they can scan it and see it. All right, and then there's also options for PDF, email, or print. All right, I'm not going to save that file. There's nothing in it. But yep, I just wanted to give you all a quick rundown of what the report would do. So let's go back, and we can exit out of the scan. We can exit out of that, and let's see what hot functions has. So oil reset, which when I first start this up, there is the maintenance required, which is usually reset with the oil. See how the maintenance required down the bottom is flashing. So I'm not sure if we try to do oil reset, if that will take that out. Let me see, reset with tool. And this function is not supported on this vehicle. Let me see, reset without tool. It tells me to turn the engine off, press and hold the select button on the instrument panel, then turn the ignition switch on to position 2. Hold the select reset button for at least 10 seconds until indicator resets. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the engine off. Now, I'm not sure which button it wants for. Like, this is the one that I can select between mileage, and I believe this is just a turn knob for the light. Yeah, so that's not a push button. So it wants us to press and hold the button, turn the ignition switch on, and then hold it for an additional 10 seconds. So of course I'm going to need 2 hands to do this. Let's see, give me 1 second. All right, so I'm just holding the button. I have the key on, And we're just going to hold this for about 10 seconds. All right, let that go. So let me turn this off and then start it up, and let's see if that maintenance required still comes on. And there you go, it's gone. All right, so now I'm gonna have to make sure I do an oil change and reset it again when I do the oil change. So after a certain amount of miles, that light will come on. It'll just start flashing again and basically let me know it's time to, check all my fluids, change what I need to do. That's not a check engine light. It doesn't indicate that there's an actual error with the car. It's just saying, all right, you went so many miles, it's time for maintenance again. So I'm gonna go ahead and escape out of that. So we don't have electronic parking brake or tire pressure monitor sensors. I think I need an additional device to do the battery monitoring, and this vehicle is not supported. So, this is an older vehicle, so a lot of these features aren't gonna, we don't need brake bleed or DFP. Emo keys we can go in. I showed y'all the video on my other auto fix, which was the D1 Lite, that I was able to program keys. So I'm more than sure that the Evil Skin Ultra will be able to do the same functions that the D1 Lite was able to do. All right, so it tells me third immobilize the system, and then oh look, keyless. Let me see what this is. Maybe this might have some remote function settings in there. I'm not sure. The way they word stuff, sometimes it's like that might be for smart key and might be for remote. But let me go into immobilize the setup. So yeah, the wording on a lot of Autel's diagnostic scanners isn't as good as the way it's laid out in the actual Autel key programmers. You would think they would be identical, but sometimes, some functions are called, one thing on one and something on another, and it can get a little confusing. I'm used to using the key programmer, and when I pull up these diagnostic programs, sometimes I'm like, what are they asking for? I'm not fully sure. So the only option in here was special function. So let's go in here, and then let me see. So we can do system check, number of keys and status log, add and delete keys, replace or immobilize the receiver unit, replace ECM, PCM, and replace MPCS, MICU, EMOs, and VSA modulator. I don't even know what that is, and let me just open it and look what it is. Yeah, again, that's something I can research later, but I'm not sure what that is. So basically, when I went in there, it just brought me into what I believe would have been the same menu had I selected immobilizer from the very beginning. All right, so it tried to, even though I'm escaping out of it try to do something which I didn't want to do anyway. So let me back out of this. All right, so now if I went into immobilizer, I'm pretty sure this is going to bring me to the exact same menu. There you go, immobilizer setup, special function, and it's the same option. So nothing there for keyless entry. Trying to diagnose what problems there are. Let me see, we got injector, steering angle sensor this car doesn't have, electronic suspension. You might be able to do something to throttle. We don't have. Let me see, window, door, roof. All right. Let me just see, because who knows what's under door. Maybe the power lock selection might be under doors. Alright, and this vehicle is not supported. I could scroll over seats, change tire size, odometer, clutch, VGT, TEC, headlamp, cylinder, air fuel setting, airbag system SRS, trans adaptation, airbag reset, automatic stop start, AGR, transport mode, hybrid vehicle battery, VIN odometer check, rain light sensor, and acceleration. Alright, so nothing here we can do. I don't even think. Let's see if in this menu if it will pull the VIN number. So basically, a lot of times when we have to change VIN numbers, say if there's a used PCM, if you go into VIN check, it will read it and then it'll give you a little drop down box with an option to change the VIN number. I'm not sure this particular year or model has that option, but let's just see what it says. Alright. And it didn't give me any information whatsoever. So, again, that's not a knock on the scanner. It's just, this is an older vehicle. It doesn't have those options. Alright. Let's go into service. Alright, so we got maintenance, powertrain, chassis, body, and SCS. Let me see. Let's go into body, and then we don't have tire pressure monitor. Again, it's going to bring us to immobilize, and I'm sure the headlights ain't going to do nothing. Let's see what chassis says. Steering angle sensor. I know we don't have that. Powertrain. We could do some type of adjustments. Alright, and the only thing that's in there is your crank CKP sensor pattern. Alright, this function performs a crank CKP pattern learn when the vehicle is parked. If this function is not applicable to the vehicle being serviced, perform the crank pattern learn procedure. I don't think I'm going to need this. Definitely not on this vehicle. There's some information there for 2006 to 2011 Civics. But again, these older vehicles, it's not really going to do anything, but just make sure our engine coolant temperature is above 167. You know, we got to make sure our transmission is up to temperature or whatever. But again, not anything that we're doing. We could go ahead and escape out of there, escape out of there, escape out of there. Let's see what maintenance says. And then again, that's just what we already did with the maintenance light. Alright. And then if I go into control unit, this will break down all the different modules. So let's see. I was just trying to see if one said keyless entry. Alright, so that's what we already looked at and not what we wanted. Yep, and those are the only 2 pages. So again, there's no options to scan the keyless entry system. So I'm gonna go online and Google it. If you know, definitely leave it down in the comments. There's probably an onboard procedure to do something and get, so many lock cycles to get a whatever error code there is and try to figure it out. So if anyone has any information on trying to figure out what's going on with this driver's door lock, definitely let me know. I know on like Hondas, like when you're getting out and you're trying to lock the door, the driver's door is not going to lock unless you're holding the handle out on the outside handle, or sometimes you can even do it from the inside. I know my 93 Civic, I can put it and hit lock and then that door will lock. So maybe something, whatever is indicating that you're holding the handle isn't working, and maybe that's why it's not working. But even so, from inside with the door locked and I lock it, it should do something. But even now, like, so I'm gonna hit the lock button, we'll see it move a little bit. So I know it's connected, it's trying to do something. Maybe it needs to be greased up, but it seems to move fine. But you know, I'll have to do a little bit more research on what could be causing that. And everything else on all the switches, these are just the window switches, so that shouldn't cause anything, but everything else works. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more research, but thank you for bearing with me. And you know, I know this is a lot longer video than I usually do, but I'm just trying to get this car all set for my daughter for when she's ready to hit the road. All right, thank you for watching. LakelandCarKeys.com.